Now, here's something I'm embarrassed to admit. Before I started my first business, I had what I call a build it and let them come mentality. So I thought that if I just made an offer, any offer, there would be a stream of people waiting to buy from me. It was like a drop kick to the chin from reality to learn that this is not how business works at all. In business, there's a harsh truth that I needed to understand. And that is, you can be the best at what you do, but if you don't have a way of getting clients, you're not going to make any money. And a company that doesn't make any money is going to fail. Getting clients is what matters the most, and almost everyone will tell you it's the hardest thing in the world when you're getting started. Now, me of all people knows how difficult it can be in the beginning, but after building multiple successful businesses, I now realize something. It doesn't need to be, not even slightly. And the thing is, most business owners shoot themselves in the foot. They make getting clients hard by going about marketing and sales the completely wrong way. Take me for example. When I started, I was doing everything to get clients. I sent cold emails to companies in my home city. I spent countless hours DMing people on LinkedIn. I threw away a painful amount of money on Facebook and Google ads. Basically, I had no idea what I was doing. But do you know the craziest thing about it? Through sheer ridiculous persistence and, a heap of luck, I got sales. But when I tried to scale, it was disaster. I'll tell you why in a moment, but I wasn't able to scale my business to those thick freedom income numbers they were all shooting for. And there was a pretty straightforward reason for it. If your marketing and sales system isn't as optimized as possible, you can't scale up. There are some problems that you can't throw money at. If you think that you're just going to go from spending $1,000 and getting $2,000 back to spending $10,000 and getting $20,000 back, you're in for a shock. Scaling a business that's full of issues will only amplify those issues. You'll end up trying to scale by spending $10,000 and you'll only get $9,000 back, and that can be pretty traumatizing. So that's what happened when I tried to scale. I tried scaling up with cold email, but it tanked. And I said, cold email sucks, so I tried Google ads, got a few sales and thought, this is it, and tried to scale like a madman. And guess what happened? I crashed and burned a shit ton of money in the process as a beginner. And then I threw the Google ads plan away and I thought, well, Facebook ads will be easier. I got a few sales, but it was a nightmare when scaling. I was scratching my head trying to figure out what the problem was, even though, it was staring me in the face. Now, before I continue, don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, you can easily hit $10,000 to $50,000 per month with any of these marketing channels. But if you really want to go big with your drop servicing business, you need to think like a real business. You can't just build some little trick business, selling a service, then hiring someone on Fiverr to do it for you. Service arbitrage is cool, but that's not a real drop servicing business. Here, we're building a proper agency that's completely virtual to give you the freedom whilst being able to drive revenue like a Ferrari and scale like a tsunami. Maybe I should have been a rapper instead. I'm doing pretty good at rhyming right now. But now let me spoil the story for you, okay? I wasn't flopping around from failure to failure forever. I eventually figured this out to the point where finding clients became effortless. I genuinely mean that too, I got to the point where I would check my email in the morning to see the inbox full with orders, full of payments coming through. I'd go out for lunch with a friend and leave my phone for an hour. Then I came back and, make an easy few $1,000s. That's what I mean by effortless. But how did I figure this out? How do I get clients effortlessly now? Well, one day I realized something. I'm sure you've probably heard of it before, the 80-20 rule, otherwise known as the Pareto principle, right? It's pretty obvious, that one. It's where 80% of the effects comes from 20% of the causes. Once you build a system, you're going to get 80% of the results from the first 20% of that system. So if you aren't sure, let me give you an example. It sounds abstract until you start trying to build a business, but then it becomes completely bloody obvious. For example, that means if you focus on just one marketing channel, such as cold email, you're going to get 80% of the desired effects of revenue at 20% of the scale. And as you try and scale up this marketing channel, your results will go up. Sounds great, doesn't it? Why don't you just pour your life savings into it then? Well, hold your horses, Billy Shoemaker, and listen to this. Yes, your returns go up, but at a diminishing rate typically. So let's say you're spending $2,000 on the system and getting $8,000 back. If you tried to scale up by spending $3,000 and get $10,000 back, yes, you can still get an extra $2,000 from the extra $1,000 spent. That might seem good, but your returns are diminished. Instead of a 4 times return on spend, you're getting a 3.33 times return on spend. So slightly worse. You're still making more, but the return is not as good. It's kind of like a bodybuilder going to the gym. When you first start working out, you build 80% of the muscle in the first year or two. But then after that, you need to put in increasingly more effort to get those little 1% gains. These are massive diminishing returns. And the same is true when scaling up a marketing channel. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you fix this problem, right? What's the smarter thing to do? How can you scale while still getting the highest return on your investment possible? All good questions, and I've got 3 steps that will solve the problem for you. 2 words. Fuck it. If your returns are going to diminish, then ride the horse all the way to the stable. Just don't bring it home with you. Letting racing metaphors go for a moment, you might start Facebook advertising for your job servicing business. So you spend $100 to start and get $1,000 back. And then you spend $200 and you get $2,000 back. Then you spend $300 and you get $3,000 back. So far so good. The returns aren't diminishing yet, so you keep on scaling. But then suddenly you spend $400 and only get $3,500 back. You hear the creepy noise in the distance? That's the sound of diminishing returns. Now, it's time to scale back down to where you're at your highest ROI. Now, I admit this is a bit of an oversimplification, but it's how my brain works. Simple words and big colorful pictures that keep my attention. But I want to illustrate to you guys that you should scale a good marketing channel until your returns start diminishing, because it's at this point where you can really make or break your business. A lot of people make the mistake of scaling when they shouldn't and stretch themselves too thin. At the point of diminishing returns, you can spend more time optimizing your system if you want, but wouldn't it be easier and better to just use your time to move on to the next step? Now that you've reached the point of diminishing returns, most of the time, it's smarter to move on to a separate marketing channel. You're likely going to get a much better return on your investment because 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. For example, now that I've scaled Facebook ads as much as I can, I might switch over to Google ads so that I can get the highest possible ROI. I'll go through the same cycle again, and that means testing, optimizing, and modeling from my competitors to figure out how to maximize my results on that marketing channel before I move on to the next one. Bouncing around like this is called the leapfrogging model of marketing channel expansion, by the way. So choose a marketing channel, optimize, and scale as much as you can, then move on to the next one and do the same. But to make this work flawlessly, don't forget this next step. Do not miss this step, because when you've ranked your channels, you can see what the easiest and fastest ways are to get sales, and you can double down on them. And in order to scale your business, you can start with the easiest methods and focus on the more difficult ones later on. I'm going to give you the ideal order in a second, but first let me emphasize something. The more touch points that you have with a potential client, the higher the conversion rate will be. For example, if following up once increases your conversion rate by 50%, then following up twice might increase it to 70%, 3 times to 85%, and you'll hear the creepy sound of diminishing returns with each follow-up. But it's still worth it to do, because these small increases in conversion rates become more important as you scale up your marketing efforts. And what I found to be the optimal number of times to follow up is lucky number 7. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you like David Attenborough? Obviously you do, who doesn't? And that's good, because we're going to get biological and talk about the ideal ecosystem for getting clients in our sleep. If you want to get clients on autopilot, you need to have a full map of the ecosystem for getting them, right? And let me break it down for you right now. So you have 2 branches here, marketing and sales. In marketing, you have it split with both free and paid methods, and we want to do the free methods first to get our first few sales for free. Then we reinvest that money into the paid methods, which will allow us to scale up our businesses a lot faster with a lot more data. And this is the order that you should build it in. Now, make sure that you're listening because you'll want to write this down. In order to take advantage of the Pareto principle and avoid diminishing returns, you'll start off with cold email. And then you'll use appointment setters or social media outreach. Then once you're getting decent sales from these channels, you'll expand into paid methods such as LinkedIn ads, Google ads, or Facebook ads. Now that's the marketing side of things, but what about sales? Well, when it comes to the sales part of the equation, you need to have a 7-step follow-up system, following up potential clients by leaving voicemails, following up with emails, connecting on social media, providing value, and retargeting. If you have this entire drop servicing, marketing, and sales system built out, not only will you maximize the results you get and scale up more easily, but you'll also close clients at a much higher conversion rate than if you didn't have the sales system. This ecosystem all works together to support one another and increase both the revenue you get from your sales and the number of clients that decide to buy from you. And this becomes a flywheel. When it starts spinning, it allows you to grow faster and makes it easier to hit your drop servicing goal. So that's how I started getting clients on my sleep and while I was surfing. Now, if you want to learn more about starting your own drop servicing business, click the link in the description below this video to watch the free 2-hour training showing you exactly how we do it and how you can earn your first $10,000 online with drop servicing. If you like this video, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below this video if you have any questions for me, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to actually learn real strategy and tactics from my drop servicing businesses that you can use in your own. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.